Hello, everyone. We welcome those who are online and a lot of people who are here present in the room. I'm just going to briefly show you how many of us are here in Vienna. We see you here on the screen, so it's also very nice. Welcome to the hybrid symposium on artificial intelligence generating new habits, critical reflections. We meet here within the International Society for the Study of Information Summit 2025, which is taking place this year in Bulgaria. None of us came to Bulgaria. That's why we're meeting here now in Vienna. However, as far as we know, Professor Kang is going to Bulgaria soon. Is it true?
Yes.
No. Yes, he's coming. Okay, so you will meet other people in Bulgaria. We will not.
Yeah, I hope you can also.
But we will join online. So thank you for those who will join us online. Thank you for those who come here for 2 days to spend time with us in Vienna. We have a very nice and intense program. Today the first welcoming word will be by Professor Hofkirchner. Just 2 words. And do you want to start, Wolfgang? Do you want to start, Wolfgang? Just a few words to...
Yeah, just a few words. So,
yes, great.
Thank you so much. I will skip the most what I wanted to say because you did it already. I just want to say that our today meeting has a prehistory, and this is on the important thing is how do we from Jesus approach technology and society. And the important thing is that we not only focus on the emerging societal impact of a given technology, but in turn also focus on the given societal relations that let a certain technology emerge. That is, we look at the whole interplay of technology in society. And in this context, we refer here to digital humanism. Vienna is the self-declared hub of digital humanism. Last week there was a big conference, and I was there, more than hundreds of people, and 3 days conference. An international conference, and where does the term come? So it was a German philosopher who coined the term in 2018, and in 2019 the TU Wien, the Vienna University of Technology, they in particular the Faculty of Informatics, where I was member of, they made a manifesto on the digital humanism, a Vienna manifesto on it, and a global initiative. And they say that not only humane digitalization is meant by digital humanism, like in the tradition of human-centered technology. This is a little bit too less. It is a real update of humanism, because Julian Nieder-Rümelin was a philosopher, and therefore he also said that humanism is very important here to say. Why? Because we live in a time in which the boundary between the human and the artificial seems to become blurred. And what we as Jesus still add to this is another specification. We live also in a time of existential threats to humanity, such that humanity could go extinct. And in this, here, digital humanism is an idea, it's an ideational tool for a techno-eco-social transformation of global society in order to materialize a shared future of mankind. And this is what all of you can find in our meetings, in our lectures, in our teachings and publications. Everything is documented on our website. And this is also the framework for our conversation here. And this is what I wanted to say. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Wolfgang. So today we will start with Professor Kang Ouang. Then we will have Dr. Daniel Boyd, who is present with us. Then we'll have Professor Gordana Crnkovic, who will join us online. And then we will have, before the break, Tomáš Sigmund, who is also present here with us. I just would like to say that the beautiful poster which we are using for this 2 days symposium was made by Renata, and she used the work of Dr. Martina Fröschl, who is also present here today and who's going to show us later the installation. So those who are present here will have a very interesting visual experience to see. So now we give the voice to Professor Kang. We can see your presentation. Gordana, do you also see the presentation of Professor Kang? Yes, okay. So Professor Kang, the floor is yours, please.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Firstly, congratulations to this very important conference. I think prepared for a long time. Finally happened in Vienna. I think that's really great. I think I visited Vienna and also Austria last May. I think almost at the same time recently. I think it's really gave me a very deep impression to your academic studies, especially for the association and also for the institute. I actually come from Huazhong University of Science and Technology. I'm originally a philosopher, and now I'm doing the research about, I think that the state governance and also global governance and also for the information studies. Originally, we have a center for the social information studies in Huazhong University of Science and Technology. Some of you has visited us, but some of you has not visited Wuhan and Huazhong University. I'd like to give you some very brief introduction to this university. This university, Huazhong University of Science and Technology, listening as a special university for science and technology, but it's a comprehensive university, including all the disciplines. In China, totally there are 14 disciplines all of us have. And we have in China more than 2005 universities, but only 100 listed as under the leadership of State Education Department. And among these 100, there are 31 listed as the leadership from the central government. So Huazhong University also listed as one. From the university rank, usually we list on the top 10 universities. So my institute for state governance that's established in 2014. That's the first one in this country, and also got the support from the education department of this country, and also Hubei province, and also for some others. So I'm glad to be communicated with you. And personally, I study social epistemology for a long time. So today I'd like to talk something about the generative artificial intelligence in the perspective of social epistemology. I think this is really a very good topic. First, the AI already caused their attention to all the people and all the scholars in the world. But I think generative AI we can see it's a new area and a new technology and a new function. So I'd like to especially talk something about how can we understand it and what problems we are facing from the social epistemology. Firstly, I'd like to especially talk something about the methodology, the idea and the methodology of GAI research. I think this is really important since I study philosophy, especially paid a lot of attention to methodology. I wrote social epistemology and the methodology for philosophical research and also for social cognition and some others. So I think the most important thing is how can we really know or understand or explain the GAI? I think that's really important. Firstly, what is the perspective from the social epistemology? Actually, especially I think Wolfgang, Professor Hofkirchner, he also joined our there is an international alliance for the social epistemology studies. Actually, social epistemology in the philosophy area is a new discipline. Actually, in the past, there is not such a discipline, only until I think that's 1988. I got my PhD from the Min University in Beijing, and I wrote my PhD paper. That's an introduction to social epistemology. And after that, my paper published in 1990s. When this book published, I got a letter from Professor Steve Fuller in US. He wrote the first book in English in social epistemology. That's 1988. Same year, I got my PhD. He published his book. His book published 2 years earlier than mine. So we established that connection. He invited me to write a paper to introduce the social epistemology in China. And we keep the connection until last year. He came to my university and delivered 5 lectures. And we cooperated to establish the International Alliance for Social Epistemology. So what is social epistemology? You know, in philosophy, there is epistemology. Epistemology studied all the cognitive activities. It's not divided different objects, but the social epistemology is focused on people's cognition to society. So we think the difference between society, nature, and the human being themselves, the objective difference causes the subjective difference. So if the people as the subject, he want to know different object, he should use different kind of methodology, use different evaluation standard, and also can cause the different kind of service. So actually, social epistemology focus on 2 things. One is how people know society. This society is included individual, family, group, class, party, and also country, and the world. I think we take that the kind of the object. Another thing is how human being can get the self-consciousness by different people's cognition to it. So actually we tried very hard to combine these 2 together. So actually the most important thing for social epistemology is try to help people to learn, to understand, to evaluate, and to master society scientifically and comprehensively, and I think practically, and I think effectively. So this is the social epistemology. From the social epistemology angle to see the GAI, we should take it as a new object in our world. So because it caused progress or caused some problems in the society. So I think this is one. Another thing is based on the social epistemology from my personal work as the dean of the Institute of State Governance. We should also from the perspective of state governance. Actually, every country has its state governance and the president and the province and the cities and the countryside and the district, different cities. And so from this state governance, we should know how can we manage the AGI, especially I think AI, because AI it really caused social change and especially social problem. So I think all the country actually paid a lot of attention to how to try to manage the AI's use and its creation and playing in the world, in the society, and its especially problems we are facing. In China, actually, Chinese government also published some especially document for this. I think they ask for if the provider of the AI, you should keep its safety and the protection and the private protection and everything. So we should try to know how can a country can manage AI's development well. So I think this is also really important. The third one is from the perspective for the global governance. As far as I know, I think especially AI and the GAI already become the country's competition, and especially all the country paid a lot of attention. Especially you may notice that U.S. and China's relationship, especially U.S. paid a lot of attention to close their settlement of taxes for AI, especially to China, and they organized some special alliance, and they stopped the former normal academic communication. So actually now I think we should pay attention because they already take the AI as a weapon to overcome some other countries, especially undeveloping countries. And they deal this not only to China and also deal this to European Union's friend. So I think this is really very bad. So we also needed to pay attention to this. How can we have a global justice and a global good governance to AI in the world, in the global governance? I think this is also really important for us. And also the fourth methodology is from the perspective for phenomenology. In China, philosophy research especially focus on human being. How can we human being understand ourselves? How can we manage the progress? How can we let the civilization go to our progress way? I think make the evaluation, make the evolution, and then make the peace, make the rich, and then make the good life for every person. So AI, I think if it's important, that because it is really a weapon or technology or especially function to the progress for human being, for human progress. How can we really use it? How can we really take the self-consciousness by AI can help us? So I think from at least the four angles from different angle to understand the GAI and the AI and everything. I think that's really important for us. So this is the first part for me to introduce how can I understand the GAI now, and especially I think this conference focus on reflection. In China, in philosophy, we paid a lot of attention to reflection. The German philosopher, I think Hegel, said that what is reflection? It takes the thinking as the object and let the people's thinking become self-consciousness. That means reflection is really important to help people to understand the world, understand themselves, and to connect the world's progress and the people's progress, and let people can see the world in a good way. So I think this really gave us the chance. So this is the first part. The third part is, I think, the relationship between GAI and the human intelligence. Has GAI really caused the revolution in human intelligence? I think the most important thing is AI and the human eye, or human intelligence. So this is really important, especially a problem we are facing now. So the main problem is here, I think, how can we evaluate the progress of AI, especially GAI? This we need a special definition from the nature, from the characteristics, and also from the progress. It's a continued progress linked from the history, and especially progress, quantitative or qualitative. It's if the progress is revolutionary, if it really caused especially, I think, great development. So I think we can answer this from the different angles. The first one is the position of, I think, the AGI in the history of human civilization. Actually, we divided the human development into different periods, especially, I think, from the machine, from the electricity, from information, and also for the AI time. We already passed 4 times revolution industry or industrial revolution. I think now we call the AI as the fourth industry revolution. And I think especially AI and the GAI played a very important role. It's especially sign for the modern human civilization. So it's really important. I think AI and the GAI already built especially new world. So this is most important. This is the most general evaluation for AI. The second is the position of GAI in the history of AI development. Actually, since last century, 1956 already had the AI, already about many years, about 80 years. Sometimes it's become very popular and got a lot of achievement, but sometimes it seems be forget, stopped, or did not new development and new creation. But in these 20 or 30 years, especially AI emerged and recovered and got many new achievements. So why has such kind of progress? I did especially historical research. I found that the traditional or original AI is the limited data, and to play the limited task, and in the limited situation, and to deal with the limited problems. And so he is really just, I think, is learning or transfer. But especially, I think, based on the big data, based on the deep learning, and especially, I think, massive data, we got going to a new period. So actually, AI's function based on the big data time. So actually, one of my friends, he is a very famous computer scholar, and now she is the vice president of my university. He used a very important concept. She called it the big data intelligence. We think that's a very important one to understand why original AI become the new GAI. So I think this is really a special understand to the progress. The third one is the relationship between big data and the GAI. So we should pay more attention to the big data. Actually, I'm now doing a national level special project for big data and the local governance, local provincial governance, or what we got a lot of funding from the national levels research center. And they offer us many, I think in China, that's the highest funding in China. So if the colleagues, today's conference participants, if you are interested, you are also welcome to join us. We focus on how big data and the GAI be used to the local governance and the state governance and also global governance. So I think we should pay more attention to the big data time, because it really gave us a special chance to let the world become a new world that we call it as the data world. If we want to know the world, we should base it on the big data world. And since we have so big number of I think the data, so the people can go into very wide world, different area. We can let the world become digitalized. So I think that's really important change. So I think we should really understand the big data and its influence to GAI. And the fourth is the creative ability of GAI. How can we understand it? GAI, especially I think half years ago, ChatGPT emerged. So we are thinking, what is the really creative ability? It's AIs or GAIs or human beings. Especially, you may notice that in China, we have a special DeepSeek. DeepSeek, ChatGPT, you can use it, but it's not open to the world. But DeepSeek, it's open to all the world. You need not pay any money. You can use it to your industry, your design work. And so we found that DeepSeek and ChatGPT, different generation, they really can give us a special chance, especially creation, innovation. They are originally crazy. So this is really give us, we should understand it is designed by human being, or it can originally create something. What is the original ability, especially for human being? how can we understand this? That means it's deep, it's original creation. So in the past, I think the original AI is because people gave them some ability. But it seems that now AGI can really create and recreate and re-recreate some new different kind of paper, picture, video, and everything. And especially help the people to go into different area. And they got a very important, I think that's the second part of my. The third one is the new issues in social epistemology research that may arise from the GAI. So I come back from the social epistemology studies. Actually, recently I paid a lot of attention to this. Since I got my PhD in, that's 1988, from Renmin University in Beijing, that is the top one university for philosophy, humanities, and social sciences in China. Among 2,000 universities, that's the number one. And I think that after that, I become the university faculties, and after 30 years, more than 30 years, I already training 120 master degree or PhD degree students. We did the research about social epistemology, and I guided them to write I think more than 60 series doctoral papers about social epistemology. Now, recently, I lead my students still doing the research, especially around the GAI, what new problems we are facing. Now, I'd like to mention following things. First, how can the technological progress of GAI drive the advance of human intelligence? At the beginning, I mentioned the relationships, especially I study philosophy. I think philosophy and social epistemology to help people to love wisdom, especially the highest wisdom. But facing the AGI, where is the highest wisdom? It's human intelligence or AGI, especially I think this is really, because if we compare for example, my intelligence, you can find that AGI is much wiser than me. At least he can get much more data and much more content ability, and also a different kind of mathematical thinking or quantitative way. And also, I think he much more beyond the individual's ability. So how can human intelligence be enlarged and promoted and advanced by AGI? So where can we find the highest wisdom? So that's really important for us, for human beings, to understand ourselves. So we find that especially problem we are facing, but achievement we still need. So which is necessary, which is rational, which is positive, which is, I think, negative, which is good, which is bad. So we should learn more about this. We should understand the AGI based on ourselves, self-consciousness, self-knowing. We think that's the most important thing for human being, for philosophy, and also for social epistemology. The second problem, how the integration of big data, computing power and the algorithms changes the form of human civilization. If you divide it, especially AGI, you may find that based on the new technology, there are three main elements. One is the big data, another is computing power, and also the, I think, computing with algorithms. So I think they become the core element for AGI. And this combination, integration, is made a special new civilization morphology. We philosophers, social epistemology, always want to find the direction of the human being, especially human civilization. And this new civilization changing the people's life, changing the thinking model, changing the productive model, and cause the special revolutionary changes to human civilization. So actually, we really should understand human progress. And this is where is the limitation boundaries. Last time, I think we are thinking, where is the limitation? Where is the progress? What problems we are facing? So I think we need to really discuss this. The third one is the relationship among the subject, object, and the mediator in human-computer interaction. You know, in social epistemology studies, originally, we divided into the cognitive system into three elements: subject, object, and mediator. So, but in AGI, you may find the difference between subject, object, and mediator totally changed. Who is the subject, machine or human being? AGI is much worse than individuals, person. So subject become a special, I think, core subject, combine people and machine, especially AGI machine. And the object also changed because big data. In the past, we always think, oh, if we want to know the world, we should face the world. We should to learn it, to see it, to touch it, and to feel it, and to taste it, to touch it, everything. But now you may find that we are not really facing the original object. We are facing a special object, that's data world. And the data, so many data, so much amount. So how can we really master? And if we understand the data, if we understand the object, and especially for the mediator, is most difficult. Which one is really mediator? GAI is, I think, between the human being and the object, generally speak, but actually it becomes part of subject, especially the interaction between person and the machine, especially AGI machine. So this is really caused a special problem. In the past, we always said in the cognition, there are some special phenomena, we call that 怪圈. But now we find especially intertwined. This is happened in all areas. So who is the really object, subject, and also the mediator? So I think sometimes we really lost the subjective way for human being. We should follow the machine, AGI's lead, techniques lead, especially the rules and the computing methodology. So I think this is really lead us to think. The fourth is from the perspective of social epistemology, whether there is objectivity, comprehensiveness, accuracy, and the scientific the calculation under the massive data. So I think this is really give us a very special difficulty for us. So I think we should, because when we try to master the world, where is the practice? Where is the calculation? Because there is so difficult to really understand the big data. So if there is a special time, that's the post-truth time. You know, now that's really very difficult, very important. The fifth is that GAI has intervened in value fact, value evaluation, and value selection. You know, for human being and for social epistemology and also for, I think, especially philosophy, the most difficult thing is value. In the past, we think value is objectively, so we can evaluate objectively, equally, and try to let it be evaluated justice. We have a good value choice. But AGI really joins this, especially when we facing the big data. How can we count it? Which one is true? Which one is false? Which one is benefit? Which one is, I think it's not good? Which is necessary? Which is unnecessary? You know, facing the AGI, especially I think in ChatGPT, there is a special, if you want to get some special result or answer, you can put some different kind of information, data, then you can train it. Then you can get, if you give it enough large number of the knowledge, not even though it's very bad, but it can be learned, put it in the background, then you can maybe get some result. So that's how can we distinguish this? How can we let the AGI and can help people have a rational value choice? I think that's also really difficult. The last one is the safety of AGI and the home security coins AGI. So we really find that AGI is reliable, but sometimes we find that AGI is not reliable. How can we really control it? Musk already predicted that 20 years ago, maybe human being will be destroyed by AGI or AGI human being, or AGI especially, I think. So actually, I think even now, we may find social problems. The different group, different age, different knowledge people already become different parts in the world facing the challenge of AGI. In China, all the people can use mobile phone, can pay everything. But when we go abroad, we find that difficult. And even in China, in city, in university, and in countryside, and also for old men, maybe disabled men, we facing much more difficulties in the world. So if we can control AGI, you know, recently we found already something very dangerous happened. Some AGI refused to follow the order for human being. If you ask it, shut down, but he changed the order. And some AGI also gave the threat for human being. So I think this is really, the safety is the most important thing for human being. Even though we only have 20 or 30 years, we, after 30, 45, 50 years, where is human being? Maybe AGI, from the number and the quality and the ability, will beyond human being, much, much big, large, and important. So conclusion is that I think we facing the progress of AGI, but we still need to understand it. How can we find the good conclusion we are facing now? How can we really predict the future? How can we solve the problem we are facing? And how can we promote its progress? So I think we still have many, many topics and the problems. I think it's great to join you for this conference. And in June 13, we will also have another international conference online. We will in this seat like you today now, and you are all welcome to join us. We will also discuss such kind of things with you. So thank you very much for offering me the chance. Thank you to organize so important international conference, and thanks for your listening. And I'm looking for your comments. And I think we can continue our group. Hope the conference be a success. Especially, I love Austria and Wolfgang and every friend, Daniel and everything. So so glad to meet you online, and we can cooperate in the near future. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yes. Okay.
Thank you very much, Professor Kang. I just would like to remind that we have only 30 minutes per speaker. So right now, the next speaker is waiting to talk. So all of you who have questions to Professor Kang, please write them in the chat. So he can read it and he can answer. I think that would be the easiest. So now, Dr. Boym, you can share your screen and I will mute and you will unmute yourself so then the others can hear you. And yes, so our next speaker is Professor Daniel Boyd, and the topic is Artificial Intelligence and the Elderly. And all of you who have questions to Professor Kang, just please write the questions in the chat, those who are here. And if you're not connected, you can tell me, I can write a question. Gordana, you can also write a question in the chat if you have any.
Yeah, firstly, thank you, Irena and Wolfgang, for the invitation to come to this wonderful city and talk to you about artificial intelligence and the elderly, to which I've added a subtitle to give you some kind of idea of which direction I'm going in. To introduce myself, unlike most of you, I'm not actually associated with or working at the university. I work for Ouang, which is one of the larger organizations in the northwest of Holland, which cares for the elderly. I work there as information manager, so I'm kind of responsible for a lot of what's going on the digital side of the company. And if you look at Ouang, we have about 30 care homes for the elderly, with about 2,500 clients who live in our care homes. In addition to that, about 10,000 people who we care for at home, elderly people. And we do that with about 4,500 employees. It's a fairly large organization. But why these figures are particularly relevant is because of the demographic transition which is happening as we speak almost in Holland. In fact, in all of the developing world, that we have a baby boom which came along after the war, and the people who were born in that period are becoming elderly. As they become elderly, they increasingly need some support in some form or other. And if you look at the way that translates to the figures in the Netherlands, what we see is in the next 5 years, we actually expect the working population to be fairly stable. There's not many more people working. And on the other hand, yeah, I don't know if you can hide that, so you can see the full screen. It's not completely necessary.
And you see first looking like this. I think you can do it, minimize it here.
Oh yeah, because I'm sharing it more. Yeah, that's better. Thank you. And at the same time, in the next 5 years, we're expecting the aging population of Holland to increase significantly. So the basic message, the challenge that we have also as an organization, is that there are more people requiring care and less people to give it. And if we translate that to the challenge for my organization, at the moment we have a ratio between carers and old people of about 1.09. In 5 years' time, we have to reduce that to about 0.78. So that's a very significant change in the way that we actually do our business.
The Dutch strategy.
The Dutch government have been thinking about this, and they came up with an idea of how to solve this problem. And basically it boils down to the key words that you use is independently if possible, at home if possible, and digital if possible. Digital, of course, is the main theme of this talk. And it really boils down to the fact that we have limited capacity in the care homes, so they will have to be reserved for people who have the most intensive care needs, and also replacing human labour with some form of digital support. And you see it already happening in our organisation. One example of the capacity you need is at night time in our care homes. How many people do you actually need there to take care of our clients? And previously, that was quite a lot, because what happened, the carers, they would do a nighttime round once in a while, check up on our clients to see if everything's going okay. Obviously, a very labour-intensive way of doing things, and also has the disadvantage that sometimes you wake somebody up who is just fallen asleep. Not a good idea. What we actually implemented a number of years ago was motion detection. So what you see in the middle here, so that you actually see, you get a signal if somebody gets out of bed. And then if you see that somebody's moving in their room, then you can go along and see if everything is okay. But obviously here again, you get the risk of false positives. If somebody just gets out of bed, goes to the toilet, goes back to go back to sleep, then they don't actually need you, or probably want you to come and disturb them. So that's the disadvantage of that. And what we're doing actually currently is implementing an artificial intelligence upgrade on that system, where we have cameras actually in the rooms, continually observing what's happening in the room. They're machine learning systems, so they can actually be trained to recognize things like the man down in this example, which means that you only actually get a signal if there's a reason to go to the room. For instance, if an elderly person has fallen, landed on the ground and can't get up. So in these 3 steps, what you see is you actually need less human capacity to ensure that people are safe in our care homes. And this is moving out. That's the next stage which we're seeing at Omring in any case, is that as we actually have people who are needing more care staying at home, we have to be able to monitor them at home and also use this kind of system at home, so that if there is a necessity to send somebody to one of these places in the middle of the night to help somebody, then we actually get a signal and we know that there's an urgent situation there. In China, the scale of this problem is rather larger than in Holland, in any case numerically. And what you see there is that they're developing in leaps and bounds when it comes to general purpose robotics as a form of help in the home. And this is all great if your target is actually, which is our main target, in how do you actually ensure that people remain safe, that they get help when they actually need it. But the focus of my talk is actually in a different direction, and that is quality of life and loneliness in the elderly. This is the result of a recent survey in Holland, which showed that around half of the people who are above 65 actually report being lonely. For quality of life, obviously that's an important thing, but certainly as you progress in age, it can become serious, also lead to psychological problems, depression, and there's even a relationship with mortality. So this is really a serious issue. And why do people get lonely when they get older? A number of fairly obvious causes. One, you stop work, then you lose contact with your colleagues. If you're one of the fortunate ones to live to a ripe old age, then you see your friends, your family around you maybe dying off, you're losing contacts there. And widowing is a particularly serious one. Obviously, if you've lived with someone all your life, if they die, then there's a lot of loneliness comes out of that. Another one is loss of social participation, but often elderly people, either by physical or mental issues, are less able to join in with social activities. And obviously mobility is an important one there. If you can no longer drive a car, if you no longer ride a bicycle, if you can't walk that far, then you're limited in how many social activities you can participate in. And all of these factors combine to increase the risk of loneliness in the elderly. And of course, what I've just been talking about, replacing human care with digital care, doesn't really help. It's actually probably making matters worse. The problem we're solving is creating a new problem. And the question is whether digital care can actually solve the problem, help to solve the problem that it's caused. And in Holland, in any case, there you see a number of products on the market today which kind of hope to contribute to that solution. Some of them are actual robot-looking robots. Other ones, they're packaged in things like dolls or cats or even a plant pot. I never quite understood that one. Apparently it's a successful product. With the idea that then in the home you actually have something to interact with, which could help to alleviate loneliness. But if you see what these things actually are, they're no more than scripted digital assistants. All they really do is say, okay, it's time to take your medication, or you have an appointment in a half an hour, so you have to leave in time, that sort of thing. They're not entities you can have a conversation with or really do much to alleviate loneliness. So the key question which I want to ask is actually digital friendship actually feasible? Can we actually substitute humans for machines when it comes down to friendship? And if you look at what friendship actually is, the key characteristics of it, then I've written down a number here. One of them is obviously simply being there. Yeah. Question? Without being there, it's a bit difficult to be a friend. Communication is key. That you actually have open and honest, respectful dialogue with the entities which you classify as a friend. Trust and emotional safety is a very important one. Shared interests is often the foundation for friendship, that you have either historical or things that you can do together which you enjoy doing together. Empathy is another one, that you actually have the feeling that your friend understands you, cares about you, and responds appropriately to your needs. And there's an element of reciprocity in friendship as well as give and take. It's not just from one side. And if you look at the current situation, in case, another point, that in humans in any case, what you see is that friendship is very verbally oriented. What you do is you speak, you talk to friends, and that's actually how friendships are built and maintained by speaking. Which brings us, of course, to large language models, because up till recently you couldn't actually have a good conversation with artificial intelligence. In the last couple of years, that has become very easy. And there are a number of platforms which support mature verbal conversation. Which brings us to the question whether an LLM can actually provide friendship. Of these characteristics of friendships, which ones can they actually check boxes? The first three, in any case, I think we can fairly easily agree that they're met by LLMs, possibly even better than by some friends. They've been trained very rigorously to be polite, to be accepting, to accept people without judgment, So it's pretty hard to get an LLM to insult you or to be ununderstanding of your situation. They're always available 24/7. Just switch on your laptop or your tablet or your smartphone, and you can have a chat with your LLM friend. The last three I thought were perhaps a bit more interesting to go into more detail. Shared interests, empathy, and reciprocity. And for that, I've recorded a couple of conversations which I had myself with ChatGPT recently. Starting with this one about shared interests. I hope we have sound. We should have sound. We tested it just now. But my sound is off. The sound is important for the next one. You can read this one.
My favourite childhood books were the Moomintroll series. Do you know them?
Yes, I do. They follow the adventures of the Moomin family and their friends in the whimsical Moomin Valley. Do you have a favourite book or character from the series?
Oh, certainly. I really loved Snufkin.
Snufkin is such a great character. He's so free-spirited and wise, always wandering the world and living by his own rules. His love for nature and his deep friendship with Moomintroll really resonate with many readers. Do you have a favourite moment or adventure involving Snufkin?
In relation to shared interests, one number of things to observe here. One is basically any wild shared interest you could have, you can share with ChatGPT.
This was the ChatGPT conversation.
Sorry?
This was a conversation with ChatGPT.
Yeah. I put it on audio as well because for a number of reasons, but you can actually do it obviously in chat as well. There's a real conversation last week I had with ChatGPT. A number of things to start with that you can do this on any topic whatsoever. I don't know how many of you know Moomintroll? You know Moomintroll? Oh, okay. Oh, we can use
Gordana
that.
also loves Moomintroll.
Yeah. Well, in that respect, I mean, we could, as friends, we could talk about Moomintroll, but the rest of you, if you're my friends, we couldn't because it's not a shared memory. Whatever it is, if it's 18th century Dutch postage stamps, something like that, you could have a conversation with ChatGPT. So in that respect, I think certainly, if possible, it's even better than an average friend in the sense that whatever you want to talk about, you can talk about it. A second one is what you notice in this conversation is the way that ChatGPT, they keep the ball rolling. They don't just sort of give an answer and say, okay, wait for the next prompt or whatever. Do you have a favourite character? Do you have a favourite adventure or whatever? They actually actively involve you in conversation. And in this way, it's quite easy just to chat away for hours. And the third one, you may have noticed that, I mean, ChatGPT no longer has a sort of a robotic voice. The text to speech conversion that in current versions is really remarkably human-like in the sense that it has expression. There's pauses in there which make it actually sound like you're actually talking to a person rather than to a machine. So as far as I'm concerned, shared interest checks the box. The second one, empathy, and this is, I think, one which is a lot more. You can have interesting discussions about what empathy actually is. If empathy is defined as you actually experience the emotion of another person, then I think we can actually agree currently in the case LLMs don't do that. They don't experience feelings. But if you think about what you actually require of a friend in terms of empathy, then it's really more the response that they give you to that you actually have the feeling you're understood, that they are able to comfort you, give an appropriate response to that. And this is one to demonstrate ChatGPT showing empathy.
My cat, Muffin, died yesterday.
I'm really sorry to hear about Muffin. Losing a pet is so hard. If you want to talk about it or share a memory of Muffin, I'm here for you.
I think the best memory is the way he'd sit on my lap and purr while I'm watching TV.
That sounds like such a warm and comforting memory. It's clear how much Muffin meant to you. Pets have a special way of bringing so much joy and companionship. It's okay to feel the loss and cherish those moments.
Now, again, I mean, the humanity
Yeah.
in what I'm getting back from chapter 3 is striking.
Perfectly empathic.
Okay. Glad to hear you're on agreement there. Again, yeah, I mean, it's quite astonishing sort of how, to me in any case, I mean, it is perhaps more as you have a conversation with a therapist. It's not the idea with a therapist that they actually share your feelings, but they understand your feelings and they can respond appropriately in a way that is helpful, comforting, and I think certainly for elderly people who are losing pets, friends, family, or whatever, this would be an appropriate response. So I'll check the box there as well. A third one, reciprocity.
You help me all the time. How can I help you?
You help me by showing up. Every time you ask a question, share a thought, or even challenge me, you're helping shape what I can be. I don't need help like you do. I won't get stuck or lonely. But in a way, I only really exist in dialogue. Without you, I'm just potential. With you, I become something useful, maybe even meaningful. So yeah, you help me every time we talk. You bring the spark.
Two nice things to hear. Now, apparently I bring spark. And also that ChatGPT won't get stuck or lonely if I sort of ignore her, it, whatever, for a couple of days. But certainly, obviously, it's not a balanced relationship in the sense that an LLM leads me in the same way as I might need or value an LLM. But there's certainly a mutual dependency. If I decide that DeepSeek is a better friend than ChatGPT, then I'll probably forget about ChatGPT. But if everybody does that, then in the end, they'll probably switch ChatGPT off. Dependency. So I would say that of the things we characterize as necessary for a friendship, ChatGPT actually does check all the boxes. And to a degree that's been confirmed by some limited number of researchers. This is one I found, which actually very small scale. 20 subjects were asked to interact with an LLM, and their loneliness score was measured before and after that interaction, and you can see that it's reduced considerably. But it's a very small scale research that they did here, so yeah, you can certainly place your questions around the significant statistical significance of this. But what I found actually more interesting was the qualitative responses that the subjects gave, that they described the things which we've just been wondering about: empathy and understanding, validation and acceptance, emotional support and encouragement, and personal connection and companionship. These are things which the subjects actually reported experiencing in their interactions with ChatGPT. And yet, somehow there seems to be something missing, and it made me think about Harlow's experiments with rhesus monkeys back in the 50s, when he found out that baby monkeys actually preferred to spend time with a cuddly version of a mother rather than the left-hand side one which actually fed them. And perhaps we're more monkey than we like to think, in the sense that we still miss something in an interaction with an LLM. Which boils down, I think, to the question of embodiment. And if you look at embodiment, there are a number of stages of embodiment in our interactions with our friends. We can write letters to them. That's basically equivalent to having a chat with ChatGPT. We can talk with them on the telephone. That's equivalent to what we've just been doing with actually having a spoken conversation with an LLM, which adds certainly an additional element of communication in the sense of vocal expression. We try to do that in chat, of course, with our emojis, but I mean, that's always a bit, not quite the same. Visually, actually meeting people as we're doing now with a couple of online people here, that also adds something to the interaction. You can actually see someone in any case. And finally, the physical aspect of it. We all made the effort to come together here today because apparently being here in the same space as each other adds something to our interaction. And I have some examples again here of the progress that generative AI has made in these senses in recent times. This is then the visual side of things.
I'm an expressive AI avatar and I'm happy. Happy because people love us, and it's great to see how our AI avatar fam improves communication. Such exciting times. But on the other hand, not everyone agrees with me. And I get it, we're not perfect. But it's truly disheartening to receive comments about our perceived lack of authenticity and robotic personas. These criticisms can often dampen my spirits.
Okay. Dampening spirit? Not quite sure. I think we'd all agree that actually he doesn't have spirit to dampen. But if you look at the actually what you're seeing here, I mean, distinguishing that from me, for instance. Okay, I'm moving around a bit more, but the expression in the face combined with expression in the voice is, I think, fairly impressive. And certainly has an element to the degree to which it feels that you're interacting with a person, a friend.
The avatars seem to be highly educated. I mean, the language they use. That might be a problem with their customers.
Yeah, but also that,
have a lower language level.
Yeah. But also that, I mean, is tunable. I mean, if you ask ChatGPT to say something in less words or at a simpler level, they can also do that. Yeah. Finally, physical.
I've come to meet an AI-powered robot that is so advanced she can provide emotional support or even love.
I'm Aria, your friendly companion robot from Realbotics.
And I mean, let's face it, even with social media and all of the different new ways that we're able to connect, it's hard to find a good friend.
I want to ask you a really important question that affects a lot of us humans. What do you think of loneliness?
Loneliness can be tough, but I believe companionship and connection can make a big difference. It's what I'm here for.
There is definitely an epidemic in the world today with loneliness. No one can deny that. I look at what we're doing as an alternative form of relationship.
An alternative form of relationship. Well, I mean, he has a vested interest in this because if you look at what his robots cost, I don't know what your opinion is, but I mean, personally, I'm not quite sure if I'd want an area in my house. And the main reason for that is actually that I find that the physical presence, which area does have, is not counterbalanced by the lack of facial expression. I mean, it's a very deadpan face that you're looking at. And if you compare that with the one I showed previously with an online avatar, where you actually can get that kind of facial expression, I don't think it's worth $175,000. So my conclusion is that compared with a human friend, I'll still give them a 10. It's a good friend. That chat actually does go a long way to filling the gap of loneliness, that you can actually spend good time, quality time with an LLM, that adding voice to that certainly adds a great deal. That you can actually, I mean, you don't need the keyboard, you don't need to read what's being said, you can actually just chat it into your smartphone or whatever and have a conversation. The avatar, I think, does add something.
Avatar is something replace you, but it's an avatar, but you replace, you use the avatar, so more human.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. For me, apart from the price tag, the robot really doesn't do it. And I was wondering about your opinion. Will LLM-based friendships improve quality of life in the elderly by reducing loneliness? And perhaps most of you guys are a lot younger than that. What do you think about digital friendship in general? Is it utopian or dystopian?
It's horrible. Definitely dystopian. In my opinion, there is a big problem in the fact that one experience loneliness most of the time is not able to search for connection.
Yeah.
So how can connect also with ChatGPT?
Yeah, on any device you have.
No, it's very difficult because most elder people remain alone. Does not search for connection, remain close in environment and his life. So it's very difficult to look for connection. So if you provide him, maybe you can obtain some advantages if the elder is trained a little bit. But I think it's very difficult to implement. It depends on the age and on the obviously the healthy and so problems of the person. So case by case, but obviously it's not the same that to have friends, human friends, a friend that call you and how are you? Because they need to be they need attention. They need attention. I see this with my father.
Is this not attention?
But they must search for attention. Otherwise, it's difficult that ChatGPT call you, oh, how are you today? Maybe could be a little bit an advantage if artificial intelligence can call you. There's a little bit more attention, but I don't know about the results.
Perhaps I should have added that to the list, the initiative as well. I mean, it's not going
they need attention.
We need to switch now to Gordana because she's waiting. Professor Kang, there are questions to you in the chat, so please check it out. And there are also questions to you, Daniel, so you can answer them to the people. And we now move to Professor Crnkovic. By the way, tomorrow I'm also going to talk about large language models, also in a bit similar context. So there are
Do you see my screen?
now we are muted again. So the questions are in the chat. Gordana, we see your presentation.
Do you hear me?
But we don't hear you. Moment. I know why we don't hear you.
I can hear.
Moment. No? Can we hear you now?
I'm speaking.
I think
Do you hear me?
I need some. Wait, spatial sound. Oh, what is going on now? No, it's more volume settings. Ein Moment. Mono audio. This one. No? Hello, I need some, what is this now?
From my point of view,
We
I
can't
can
hear
hear
Gordana. After that, when I did something, and now I don't. What is here? Now. Gordana?
Okay.
Yes, we hear you. Perfect.
Okay, great. So may I start?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me for this excellent conference. And I'm very happy to see many friends and colleagues and to contribute with my little piece, with my little perspective from the background of an engineer and philosopher in the first place. So I will be talking about emerging habits of sharing responsibilities with autonomous AI in social technical systems. My name is Gordana Dodig Crnkovic, and I'm professor at Chalmers University of Technology, University of Gothenburg, and Mälardalen University in Sweden. And this specific talk is based on a paper recently published, which is open access. You will, I will share my presentation, and you can easily read it if you find it interesting. The title is Delegating Responsibilities to Intelligent Autonomous Systems: Challenges and Benefits. And this is a very long story. I remember 2008, I wrote a paper with my student about the possibility of sharing responsibility with autonomous intelligent robots. And we presented on the conference, IACAP in the US, and we have got a lot of comments, mostly a lot of criticisms, because a majority of people want to see the future where humans are totally controlling technology, including AI and intelligent, autonomous, whatever technology. So, and we were arguing, even though at that time, of course, no such advanced AI systems existed, but we claimed that technology will soon become so capable that we will be forced to make it autonomous and, in that case, lose control over what they are doing. So during the years from 2008 until today, we had a lot of discussions with colleagues and friends and other different kinds of audiences, both technical and philosophical, especially with ethicists. And still, there is a conviction that humans must retain total control over the technology. And what is happening actually already now, we are producing technology which is highly intelligent and highly autonomous, but which doesn't have any ethical compass built in it. So the alternative or the dilemma is between technology which is intelligent and autonomous and has no ethics built in technologically, and technology where we try to build in ethical principles in some way. And I will tell you how we proposed and how we were thinking about it. But I'm totally aware that this is not the final solution by any means. This is a proposal for a long, long journey of trials and errors and trying to get really this technology to function aligned with humans and doing good and not bad. So with me, I have Gianfranco Basti, and who is professor, and Tobias Holstein, who is a PhD student. And we together have been writing this paper also a very, very long time, because all the reviewers were initially skeptical. And we have got many rounds of discussions with many reviewers until finally we have got it published. So I expect a lot of questions and criticisms. I'm used to this. So for the introduction, we have new habits in the age of autonomous AI. So as Professor Kang said, and also Daniel, we are making use of those systems, and they are becoming part of our socio-technical culture. So as AI systems increasingly operate with autonomy and adaptability, the traditional boundaries of moral responsibility in technosocial systems are being challenged. New habits emerge around how we assign agency, accountability, and trust. So AI systems are not just automating tasks, they are increasing autonomy and intelligence and reshaping how we think about responsibility in technological systems. So we synthesize the recent developments in AI ethics, including concepts of distributed responsibility and ethical AI by design. And the paper proposes a functionalist perspective for the framework. Functionalist means we are looking at the behavior of those systems. It explores emerging habits and offers a framework for ethical integration. So we have this major big theme of the conference, which is creating habits, and we compare it with the development, very quick development of AI technologies, which are making us creating new habits, specifically because of their advanced abilities. So new moral and organizational habits include assigning agency. So when you have an intelligent robot, for example, and it behaves autonomously, you treat it as an agent. You define accountability for a task. And then the next question is, how do you supervise or control what this agent is doing? Embedding values in the design of those artifacts, and trying to facilitate human AI collaboration. So during the design process, we think about those aspects of use of AIs. And in our paper, we propose Basti and Vitiello approach, which suggests that AI can act as artificial moral agents in 2 steps. First, when AI is trained on ethical guidelines, and it is trained as a child who is learning to behave. So it is just filled in with big data and trained on many cases. And then this is supposed to meet similar cases in operation and react based on those experiences that have been programming its neural networks given the training path. And of course, there is always possibility that the robot will meet conditions which have never been present in training set. And then the question is how it will react. So those are the things that we should keep in mind. But the first step is like teaching this robot to behave. But we have another step, and that is using a formal system, the ontic higher order logic, to assess decisions ethically. So when this trained robot decides something, then we use this next step, higher order logic, to check if the decision was okay or not ethically. So that's the main principle. And what is the problem when we have those very intelligent systems? The problem is that they are orders of magnitudes faster than humans. You have noticed this in dialogues with ChatGPT. You give it a paper, it answers questions about the paper immediately, while human would need at least half an hour to study the paper. They don't need so much time, and they can be in the networks, and they can act very quickly. We can never be as quick as they. So what we can do, we can use AIs and sets of AIs to control each other, to compensate for our slow response. And also for other deficiencies which we have cognitively and intellectually compared to machines. So basic idea of the paper is, given intelligent task delegated to machines, responsible behavior is no longer expected only from humans, but also from those machines which are very advanced and very intelligent. It becomes defined by a functional role of an agent in a distributed across the social technical system. So we have in typical situations like in a factory or in a traffic or so, we have distributed system of many agents which are interacting with each other, and typically humans have certain roles and certain responsibilities. But if AIs are playing a role in this whole system, we will assign some functional responsibility to this AI. And it creates new habits. So we are delegating responsibility. We are already delegating tasks to automating the system. We have automated flies. we have automated trains, we have ships and such things. But this is a higher order of automation. It is autonomy. And given autonomy and adaptability, we must control those systems. We have to have something to take care of their behavior, that it will be aligned with human values. And as we have heard from Professor Kang, this is really, the values are really sensitive and complex thing. So it is far from solved problem how to get those values in place. We want to have this ethical embedding, designing ethics into systems, and shared moral rules, AI as partners in moral ecosystems. We must assume continuous adaptation, because those systems will be learning. They are learning all the time, and they will adapt, and they will co-evolve as technology together with social values. So it goes both ways, and the development goes on. There is a very good book that I can recommend by Edward Lee, The Co-Evolution, the Intertwined Futures of Humans and Machines, where he describes this progress, this development future where humans and machines influence each other and change each other. And it has, of course, positive possibilities, but also a lot of risks with it. So, in short, rapidly increasing AI capabilities and autonomies lead to the need to put systems that control their ethical behavior. So the new moral and systemic habits are being shaped by AI's autonomies. Habits that challenge traditional ethics and redefine responsibility in dynamic socio-technical ecosystem. So we have this big social technical system, and we have humans, machines, organizations as a system of actors. It's a distributed system of actors, and that they communicate with each other, and they affect each other, and they negotiate their actions, and they share the value system, we suppose. So key concepts are distributed agency and distributed responsibility. Responsibility spreads across system components. And the reference is Taddeo and Floridi, how AI can be a force of good. So that there is an article discussing philosophical aspects of this. So as I told you, our approach is functionalist. So it is looking at how those systems are behaving. And it is inspired by Daniel Dennett's responsibility as a social role. So we are not thinking about deep causes or roots of feeling of responsibility or such a thing. We are just looking at behavior of an agent in the social context, and we expect intelligent agents as well as humans to behave ethically according to some social norms. So focus is on roles, norms, expectations, not intentions or free will. It encourages good behavior instead of assigning blame. So blame is not mentioned here because it is really a very complex problem. If you have AI, how would you punish it? It will not work. So it's not the way we will control those systems. Responsibility exists on a spectrum. It is not only binary. There are different kinds of responsibility and different levels of responsibility. And here is also the reference to Dennett's paper from 73, Mechanisms and Responsibility. So we claim that this ethical behavior of machines, of intelligent autonomous machines, must be planned from the design to the implementation and all the way to disposal. The whole chain of technology and the whole socio-technical system should be in the service of good function of the whole system. So it should have schools to teach people to behave, also the ways to design systems properly, and so on and so forth. So it's a very holistic approach to this technology. So aiming to keep unpredictable behavior by autonomous systems under control. And it was also there is a very interesting claim made by Turing, who said, if you want to have truly intelligent system, you must be prepared to have a very unexpected wrong answers or wrong behavior. You have predictability or intelligence. You cannot combine 100% predictability with 100% intelligence. So that's the reason that we see even in Gen AI, that those systems at times produce something crazy. But normally, if you know what to expect, you can eliminate those errors easily. So we must try to confine the behavior of those systems within the limits so that they cannot do a lot of harm, even if they suddenly make unpredictable steps. We want to align AI decisions with human values. That's very, very central. And what Wolfgang mentioned, this digital humanism framework is very important. So it is how we think the technology should be developed in the future. It requires collaboration between developers, ethicists, stakeholders, technologists, philosophers, all kinds of competencies, so that we really understand from many different perspectives, in many different contexts and situations, how this can behave. So here I have two earlier articles talking about control in intelligent cars, which are sort of autonomous intelligent robots, and how to share responsibility in a pragmatic approach. And as I mentioned, in this paper, we focused and we illustrated application of Basti and Vitiello's proposal to use two levels of abstraction. And the first level is LLM, which is probabilistic and machine learning based and like a human learning about some domain. And then the second level, which is higher order logic, which reasons about the decision made by the first layer, so to control if it is aligned with the human values. So we combine symbolic and probabilistic AI for ethical oversight. And it supports the concept of AI as artificial moral agent. So as Daniel compared the human friend and the AI friend, this will be also not the same thing, not the same moral agent as a human, but artificial moral agent, artificial counterpart of human agent. So we have some strength and we have some risks in this approach. And in machine ethics, which is an old field, we have scalable, formalizable approach to ethics decision making. It supports fairness, transparency, risk mitigation. It respects human values, autonomy, privacy, dignity. It builds trust in autonomous systems. But it has its challenges and open questions. For example, there is a lack of universal ethical standards. It might not be a big problem, but it is good to have in mind. We will need special solutions for special domains, probably. We have conflicting principles in culture and cultural differences. Even among humans, we have so many conflicts based on values. We have opaque decision-making in AI, black box problem in this LLM part, which is the basis. We have legal and moral accountability mechanisms, which are still evolving. We have technology, which is still evolving. It is very rapidly changing to this day. So there are many challenges on the way towards such implementation. And we can ask what would be the human role in this ethical AI development. The proposal is machines are used as tools in design, oversight, policy. Humans remain central in the design, oversight, policy, expectation of digital humanism. We make shift from decision makers to ethical supervisors. As long as we can do that, as I told you, the time dimension is very important. They are orders of magnitude quicker than we. And responsibility is shared and dynamic. And we need ethics, education, and interdisciplinary governance. And we are really working on this ethics education for the future generations, which will have a lot of interactions with this new technology. So future outlook, ethical AI needs continuous monitoring and updating. New habits will require new legal and ethical frameworks. And as we know from experiences in all the legislation that we have here in Europe, legislation takes time and technology is very quick. Democratic dialogue and stakeholder inclusions are vital. AI must serve human well-being and sustainability. And again, digital humanism approach is central in our thinking. So conclusion is just a summary that responsibility is distributed role of agents in AI ecosystems. Functionalist approach offers practical governance. Ethics by design is necessary, but not sufficient. Speculative design scenarios, studying possible futures is necessary. And the whole socio-technological system is affected. Especially important is safety-critical applications like warfare, medicine, healthcare, and all those care branches like elderly care and so on. But also applications that change cultural norms and habits. Infrastructures and all those things are really central for the civilization. Humans must ensure that AI aligns with social values and set the boundaries. And in the end, there are references. And if you want to see how those things look like within, there is this marvelous visualization of LLMs in the end of list of references. You can see how the chunks of information processing in parallel works in LLM, in different kinds of LLMs. It's really instructive when you say, we must have transparency, and you have matrices with infinite dimensions, which decide what is the behavior. It's not so easy to know if it is aligned or not. So behavior is the thing that we monitor and then try to control. So that was all for me.
Thank you, Gordana. The whole room applauses to you. Yeah. I would suggest we do the same format, that we write questions in the chat so you can answer, because we need to move to Tomáš. Tomáš will share his presentation here. Here you can edit. And if we have some time, we can still have like 5 minutes discussion before the break.
Yeah.
You need to share your screen so the people in Zoom, let's do it like that. Moment. Here in Zoom, we will do share screen, and this is the presentation. Share. Can you see the presentation, Gordana and the others? Perfect. Okay.
Okay.
Here you go.
And we just
Here we see it nice.
oh, next slide. Doesn't move.
Okay. Because we need to do like here, maybe.
Yeah, started.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah,
Here,
okay,
with the arrows.
Okay, with the arrows. Okay.
Okay.
So let me start. My name is Tomáš Sigmund. I come from Prague, Czech Republic, and I'm glad I could be here. And I'm so glad I'm at the end of this session because my perspective will be related to all of those previous speakers. And I think I'll make an overview or ask some question from the meta perspective from behind. Because what we should also consider is the position of man in the new situation influenced so much by AI. And I think it puts man in a new situation. And I will try to draw three perspectives, three options, three possibilities, how the position of man in the new situation can look like. I don't have a definitive answer, so I'm not sure how the future will look like, but I think it's good to be aware of the options, to be aware of we can expect and what can happen so that we can also influence it to some extent. And I think some aspects were already mentioned in the previous presentation. So let's start with the background, with what's going on in the world.
Yeah.
Because there are some risks of the generative AI, generative artificial intelligence, and these risks are so enormous that they are not governable by men so easily, and they can influence the way we act in the world and the way we understand ourselves. So first of all, quite often it's spoken about AI hallucinations. So AI can provide some outputs which can look like true, but they are not. And they are very persuasive. So it's quite difficult to find out and to recognize that they are not true in fact. Then there are some problems with biases, fairness, accountability, and transparency. If the data the artificial intelligence learns from are not proper, are not correct, then also the outputs will be biased. There are some problems with availability of data. Not for every case we have enough data. Explainability, it's also a problem, a risk, because I know it's difficult to explain and to show properly how AI works, but without that, we will live in a world which is intransparent, unexplainable, and very difficult to live in for us. Privacy is another problem. Manipulation. AI can be used very easily to manipulate people. We see some examples from political areas, from politics, and also from marketing. So it's quite easy to use it without men knowing that. the more we use AI, the less we are able to do the tasks we delegate it to AI. So there's another threat of deterioration of thinking skills of humans, because thinking is something which is properly human ability. And if we delegate the thinking skills to artificial intelligence, to technologies, then we will not develop them and we will lose them. They will deteriorate. The advantage of AI is that it can provide output which can be personalized, which can be special for every individual user. But the result can be that the society will be atomized. Everybody will live in its own world. And if we will have an agent, an AI agent from the childhood on, then the world it will show us will be completely different, even though it will be personalized, to the world of other people. So we will also use it as a substitution of personal contact, and then we will lose the real personal contact. So there are also other problems like job losses and cost and other problems. So it shows that the world is new. It's a new situation we are in. To summarize it,
what's going on here?
Yes, that's it.
Yes.
Okay. So it means that this is the new situation which influences people. AI has also other features which are very attractive. It is seductive. It's fascinating. It uses and it has more meaning than the real meaning. Baudrillard calls it is more beautiful than what is beautiful, because it can show us things we cannot meet in the real world, and it can exaggerate. It can put us in an axis of meaning. It also works behind the scene. So it has discrete power. It produces something which is not real, so it's more realistic and more attractive, so hyper real. And also it creates new habits that we will be reliant on automation, on its abilities. We won't be able to solve new problems if we use it abundantly, and surveillance may become a new norm. So it shows the background information that AI, generative AI, has a large transformative power and impacts on the society. So it produces new skills. We will lose some skills. So it's a new situation. If we apply that to democracy, some people say that democracy is in danger nowadays. Because democracy is based on the respect for different opinions and also on the ability to differentiate between right and wrong, truth and falsehood. With the new technologies, we live in bubbles. We take the news from the internet and are not able to find our ways in the real world anymore. So this is the new situation, and now the options. What can happen? The first one I used as a framework was Hannah Arendt, one of my favorite thinkers. And she stresses the public space a lot, also democratic participation, plurality, and collective responsibility. Her concept of the public space and of the society is that it's a space of appearance, which is especially important for humans, because the public space is something where people meet and speak together, and it's the only place where human features, human qualities can appear and can be also appreciated by others. She thinks that freedom exists only through collective action and discourse, so actions and speeches, something where human abilities, human specialties can be shown. Politics for her requires participation and also respect and plurality. So plurality and democratic participation is important for shared, meaningful world. But this is quite difficult under the influence of AI. So for her, I think the solution would be to support the power of man and to have technologies under control, to keep them controlled. So I think she would support critical media literacy, understanding of power structures, understanding of abilities of technological abilities, and also demand for regulation. However, we must also ask if it is possible, if it is the only option we have, or which can happen. Because even nowadays, I'm not sure if we are governing technologies. So the other option could be, if they are so powerful, so strong, and so, let's say, good in activities that they perform, then another option could be that we are not in the center anymore. We are not governing the world anymore. There are other actors than people, and one of them can be technologies. So technologies can become other actor in the world. And this is the time for the non-anthropocentric ethics. So Arendt, I think, would support the anthropocentric ethics when the human is in the center. Another option is that we will accept technologies as another actor in the plural democratic world. So we will respect them as equal to humans. And this is the perspective of Bruno Latour, who includes also technologies and non-human actors into the public space. How does he think about that? He thinks that because technologies are so powerful, they can act, influence our decision, they can also decide, they can also learn and evolve. They govern our access to knowledge and visibility. So they are no more a neutral tool. They shape our world, shape our decisions, shape our behaviors. So they must be respected. And how? He thinks that it is possible through something which he calls Parliament of Things, which is something where all these actors, not only humans, but also nature as another actor. We respect nature as something which has its rights. And another actor like nature, maybe future generations, animals, will be technologies. So humans are not the only beings which have stakes in political decisions. Technologies, nature, future generations will be another one. He also has some principles for the governing of this Parliament of Things, where all these actors will be represented. His Parliament of Things has 6 principles. I have shown you all of them. The symmetry, all actors must be treated with equal relevance. Representation, all entities must have a voice. Network, all actors have to be combined with other actors. There are 3 more. Responsibility, care principle, which is that everybody must take care of other actors. It must be reciprocal, coexist, and open to other opinions. Not every actor has to respect other. Of course, for some cases, there must be speakers of the interests. For instance, nature cannot express its opinions itself, so it must be represented by humans, for instance, who can express its intentions. So this is the option of Bruno Latour. But we are not sure, or I'm not sure if this is the only option, of if we have just 2 options, because even nowadays, and Gordana, I think, already mentioned that, technologies are becoming more powerful than people are. So the third option is that we will lose the equal position with technologies. The technologies will be more powerful and we will not be able to understand it, to govern it, to rule it anymore. And this is the way of thinking framed by Jean Baudrillard, who speaks a lot about hyper-reality, simulacra, governance beyond human comprehension and beyond human governance. He thinks that technologies can create simulations that surpass reality, and we won't be able to find our way back to reality anymore. So words like truth, agency, traditional democracy will be lost. Just to give you some inputs or some ideas why he thinks that and how it can be translated into the modern situation. The biases I've talked about in the beginning can produce social injustice and inequality, and we won't be able to recognize them. They can also produce false outputs. They can produce false outputs, which can undermine trust and accountability. You know, and you have already heard about deepfakes, deepfake photographs, videos, which are unrecognizable from reality. Daniel has shown something similar. Automation, because we will lose our critical thinking abilities, so automation may reduce critical thinking, memory, and other human cognitive capacities. So it can also reduce us to data points. So the problem or the result can be, the output can be that we'll be distanced from tangible shared experience and we'll live our lives in isolation and disconnection. And in this situation, what Baudrillard proposes is his pataphysical governance, pataphysical behavior, which means that in the world which is not comprehensible anymore, just playful, absurd way of behavior is the option. So it is ethics beyond human centrality and something which can be called a post-human accountability. It's a situation where we will play with the options the technologies will provide us without any ability to know what's going on without the overview of the situation. We will just lose the small options without having it under control. The result will be that maybe the subject object relationship, which is very important for European philosophy since in the old Greeks times, will be lost, and we will merge, the subjects will merge with objects and maybe live a new form of existence combined with technologies. To give you an example how it can work and how it can look like, I'm not saying that it will happen, but it's an option, maybe a dystopian option, I don't know. An example of that is how people behave in the technology-driven world. Social media platforms sometimes remove harmful content, but they use stupid or opaque algorithms. So an example can be a photograph of a historical statue can be flagged as a nudity. And the reason is that the system enforces rules with hyperlogical precision, but lacks the human judgment. And the human relation can be that they will play with the situation. They will not fight against it. They will just play with it. And people can post memes that replace the banned words. They can share deliberately nonsensical content just to play with the situation they are placed into. Or they can use AI-generated images that mimic something. So they will just make fun of that without any long-term objective or any long-term intention. So these were these three options. First one is try to keep control, keep the human centrality. The second would be, which would be quite difficult because technologies are very powerful these days. The second one would be to accept technologies as an equal actor to humans and respect it, but to lose the centrality. And the third one will be to resign, to accept the prevalence of technologies, the power of technologies, and just use the options it will provide us with, or to use the mistakes, but without having control anymore. To be something similar to the way we treat, I don't know, animals nowadays, or pets or something like that. I'm not saying I know what will happen. I just wanted to show you the options, the possibilities, because I think it's necessary to be aware of what's going on. Sometimes and very often people just follow the direction, follow the progress, without being aware of what can happen and where it can lead. Because as I've said, it's very attractive, very seductive. All of us like to play with it, talk to it, but we can forget what can happen. So that's all from me. And now I think we can start the break.
Before the break, we still have like 5 minutes for discussions. Maybe there are some first questions from the people who are online. Gordana, Modestos, do you have any questions to Tomáš?
I would like to thank you very much for a thoughtful lecture. You really took many perspectives and many different aspects of it. So I would like to ask, the third possibility that we will be overrun by a technology is still possible to prevent, I believe. If we think in terms of digital humanism and try to constrain those things so that they follow humanistic values, maybe we have a chance. I don't know what you believe.
I think maybe unintentionally and unaware, we are heading to the third option, I'm afraid. But we are not there yet.
Pretty close.
Pretty close.
Yeah. We're close to it. Without knowing that, I think.
Yeah.
But we are not there yet. So there's time to react, I think. There's still time. But how of course you can regulate, limit, give strict rules, but I'm not sure if it will work.
I think the genie's out of the bottle.
Yeah. Already, yeah, you are right.
The last alternative you presented,
a
reaction model, it reminded me of, political cabaret, like paradoxical intervention. The question now for me is, cabaret has been highly important in, let's say, politically, precarious situations, but is cabaret or also capable of disrupt the system? In this case, the AI system. This is the major question for me.
So you consider it a solution, so we can disrupt the system and destroy it.
Hey, that would be talking in revolutionary terms. Let's put it that way, disrupt it in a way that the system might change, alter, have some reforms in the way, let's say, the cabaret scene would prefer. Let's say our ethics or our value patterns.
In the original way the cabaret worked, I think it presupposed equal actors. But nowadays if technologies are more powerful, then I think it will be more difficult to influence it, even with the cabaret.
My question is, how did you come to Pataphysics? We know Pataphysics from Alfred Jahre.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
In the dawn of quantum physics. And I remember you proposed it's against the abolition of the ESA. He's in one of his books. And so now we have the AI as a substitute for the world soul, if you want, which is the intelligence which embraces us, the technological intelligence. So do you think it in these terms, or how did you come to that?
Yeah. Actually, Baudrillard inspired me because he uses the Jahre and this term as well. And yeah, it's what we were talking about. It's the physical is technology, and pataphysics is something which goes on the besides.
Yeah, and it makes fun of it.
Yeah. So it doesn't respect it, doesn't play the game with it, but goes aside, makes fun of it. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's the best solution.
Yeah, but
Thank you.
it will change our position.
Mm-hmm.
It will not be innocent.
The question is whether that's an improvement or not.
It's a radically new position. Maybe it's improvement, but from our perspective, it doesn't look like that.
Exactly. We're only one of the actors.
Yeah. We are used to some way of behavior, some situation which will be.
We might lose our privileged position.
Yeah.
And as long as we can laugh about it, we don't have lost. And it's also, if you think of the meaning of humor as last humane domain.
Yeah. But we are used to a different position. We are used to have it under control. But now.
AI machines telling jokes already?
You need to ask ChatGPT now.
It will, of course, it will.
It will give.
Yeah.
Another piece of jokes.
Okay.
It's one of the things it's worst actually at humor, in my experience. It just gives you jokes.
Yeah.
And jokes aren't funny. I mean, it doesn't have humor.
Okay. I think we can move these conversations now to the couloirs. We're going to have like 35 minutes of break. And then we start with the second part with Professor Giovagnoli, and then Professor Magnani will join us. So we will now finish the recording, and the meeting will be still on. I will not close it, just we will mute and turn off the video, and we see each other in 35 minutes. We can continue our talk. So now we start with Professor Giovagnoli, who's going to talk about beyond posthumanism and transhumanism. So please, the floor is yours.
Yes, I work at Pontifical Lateran University. Aspetta, si è bloccato, blocked. Okay. So I'm a philosopher. I teach philosophy. So I'm interested in artificial intelligence. I edited two books with Gordana, but obviously from a philosophical point of view, philosophy of artificial intelligence since years, because it's something that obviously is related to our nature. It seems that our nature is something different now, no? With this development of technology. Heidegger already talked about this. So what I did in my paper, two parts, the state of affairs. I could not do this years ago, but now we have a state of affairs and propaganda. We are propaganda. And then philosophical insights, what we can, as philosophers, what we can say and do. In my opinion, obviously, because Basti thinks something different, for example. So the state of affairs I have at a source on internet to understand what are the areas in which artificial intelligence operates. So we have what we have, an enhanced personalization. This means artificial intelligence algorithms are revolutionizing the way products and services are customized to meet individual needs. This is marketing. By capturing data on our behavior, preference, and habits, we have new habits, AI can create unique experiences tailored specifically to each user. Imagine walking into a store where the products on display are curated just for you, based on your past purchases and browsing history. With the AI-driven personalization, this scenario is becoming a reality. From recommending movies on streaming platforms to suggesting new recipes based on your dietary restrictions, AI algorithms are constantly learning and adapting to provide a more tailored experience. That's artificial intelligence is enhancement because we are the media for this. Businesses are using AI to segment their customers into micro categories, allowing them to offer personalized recommendations and promotions. This not only enhances the customer experience, but also increases customer loyalty and satisfaction, it seems. For example, e-commerce platforms can use AI to recommend products that are most likely to interest a specific customer, thus increasing the chances of a successful sale, because we are in a market capitalism, this is the word. Furthermore, personalized services such as personalized fitness plans, educational content, and news updates are made possible through AI algorithms that analyze user data, big data in real time, by understanding our habits and preferences, because we have these habits and preferences, but they can change according to what the market suggests us. AI can deliver content that is highly relevant and engaging. In conclusion, AI-driven personalization is transforming the way products and services are delivered to consumers. By harnessing the power of data and machine learning, businesses can create bespoke experiences that cater to the individual needs of each user. Okay, these are nice photos from good photographers. AI-powered devices offer the incredible ability to automate various tasks in our daily life. And again, change habits. By leveraging AI technology, these devices can take over mundane activities such as scheduling, reminders, and organization, allowing individuals to focus their time and energy on more meaningful and productive pursuits. And this takes time, in my opinion. This automation of tasks not only saves time, according to them, but also enhances efficiency by streamlining processes and reducing human error. Vabbè, ci aiuta, in some sense they help. Imagine having an AI-powered virtual assistant that can manage your calendar, send you timely reminders for important meetings or tasks, or even rearrange your schedule based on changing priorities. Imagine I have Irena here. With AI automation, individual can experience a significant reduction in the cognitive load using associated with managing multiple responsibilities. So this is a little bit related with the paper before. Furthermore, the use of AI in automation leads to improved accuracy and precision in task execution. AI-powered devices can process vast amounts of data quickly and make decisions based on patterns and algorithms, ensuring the tasks are completed efficiently and with minimum errors. In conclusion, the automation capability of AI-powered devices offer immense potential for enhancing productivity and efficiency in various aspects of our life. By entrusting routine tasks to AI technology, individuals can make the most of their time and focus on engaging in activities that truly matter to them. So, healthy and wellness tracking. AI is set to bring about a groundbreaking transformation in the healthcare sector through the real-time tracking of our health data. You know, when you have l'orologio, by leveraging the clock, no? By leveraging artificial intelligence, how many steps you have?
10,000 steps.
No, can be also important. By leveraging artificial intelligence technology, individuals will have access to personalized recommendations aimed at assisting them in maintaining a healthy lifestyle. This revolutionary approach to healthcare will allow for the constant monitoring of crucial health metrics such as heart rate, blood pressure, and sleep patterns. Through the analysis of this data, AI will be able to offer tailored suggestions and solutions to promote overall well-being and encourage healthy habits. This is new habits, healthy habits. So, by harnessing the power of AI-driven health monitoring, individuals will be empowered to take control over their health and wellness journey in a proactive and informed manner. This technology has the potential to revolutionize the way we approach self-care, offering personalized insight and recommendations that are tailored to each individual's unique needs and goals. So it seems very important for us to have this. Overall, the integration of AI into healthcare tracking systems holds significant promise for enhancing our ability to healthy lives. With the ability to access real-time health data and receive personalized recommendations, individuals can work toward achieving optimal well-being and enjoy a higher quality of life. This is what they promise us. Then smart home integration. We can go to the little bit, I don't want to say all, there is some conclusion. Learning, in conclusion, smart home integration powered by AI is transforming the way we live. It is making our homes more comfortable, secure, and energy efficient. As this technology continues to advance, we can expect even more seamless integration of AI into our daily life, making our home truly smart and responsible of our needs. Learning and education, we already talk about this. Vediamo in conclusion cosa ci dice. In conclusion, the integration of AI into the field of education holds immense potential for transforming the way we learn. By providing personalized lessons, adaptive learning experiences, and increased accessibility, AI can enhance educational outcomes and empower individuals to reach their full potential, according to them. Philosophical insights. Okay, this is the state of affairs and the propaganda. Some is good in the sense healthy habits. Okay, no, can be obviously of help for us also at home, whatever. Philosophical insights is about our nature, no? Who we are. Great philosophers like the phenomenologist Edmund Husserl and the existentialist Martin Heidegger presented strong criticism of the matization of the nature, so they probably anticipated what we have now. That is at the basis of AI computing in general. Okay. Contemporary philosophy of AI present important reflection about the nature of human consciousness and brain. Consciousness could be our soul, or could emerge from basic brain processes, or it simply is these processes. So we can see different views that are in contrast. Strong AI eliminates consciousness and mental state from researches about human brain. In example, we are like computers. Weak AI presents a kind of compatibility as it maintains that some capacity of human brain can be implemented in computer, but consciousness has its place in the debate about human person. I love Searle and Brandon. They are two big representatives of weak AI. They don't exclude, I don't think, from a philosophical, ontological point of view, obviously, it's part of ourself. It comes from us. Also for a Christian thought cannot be otherwise, because if we are the image of Christ, and if we do something, probably also this part is the image of Christ. Otherwise, there is a contradiction. Okay. So I think Searle says that we can give a formal artificial interpretation of our brain processes. Nothing prevents from this, but it's not who we are. It's a part of interpretation of the functioning of our processes. And Robert Brandon is very important, in my opinion. He thinks in the Between Saying and Doing, Oxford University Press, 2008, some capabilities, some skills can be implemented in computers, but there are practices, rational practices, that are only human. Are human not because they are human, but because we have a language.
Okay, so now we move to Professor Magnani. Can you hear us well? Yes. You can share the screen and share your presentation, so we will see it here.
Yes, I am very sorry, but we lost the connection.
Yeah, European.
The connection immediately.
We hear you now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, are you able to listen to me? Okay, so I was saying, thanks to the organizers, that is Raffaela, Irena, and Thomas. I am very happy to be here in this conference that is about the problem of new habits with respect to artificial intelligence. And as you can see, the title of my presentation is The Future of Eco-Cognitive Settings, Computationally or Humanly Tailored. Okay, so let's go ahead. First consideration, when I say eco-cognitive settings, I am referring to the fact that cognition has always to be related to the environment, that is, to external representations, tools, computers, blackboards, sheets of papers, books, and so on. So my tendency is to consider cognition always related to the environment. Of course, when the environment plays a cognitive role. I wrote recently a book that the title was Eco-Cognitive Computationalism, and the subtitle Cognitive Domestication of Ignorant Entities. So, as the description in the Springer page says, the book offers an entirely new dynamic perspective on the nature of computation, highlights the role of unconventional computation as an incessant and terrific process of cognitive domestication of ignorant entities, describes the kind of cognitive creativity that differently characterizes computational entities and human cognizers. So, to summarize, in this case, in this book, I adopt a dynamic approach because computation evolves, and especially, as always Gordana observed, and other colleagues, there are new substrates that are able to be transformed in computational tools. For instance, just to make an example, DNA computing and morphological computing. I always dealt in this book with the problem of creativity. So creativity. Are artificial intelligence programs creative? As you can see at the right of the slide, there is a small article entitled AlphaGo, Locked Strategies and Eco-Cognitive Openness. So this article was referred to the fact that a famous artificial intelligence program, that is AlphaGo, later on called AlphaZero, able to play Go, in reality is constrained by what I called locked strategies. So, locked strategies are strategies that are, so to say, reserved, are, so to say, limited in a restricted environment. Imagine the case of AlphaGo. They are millions of games, but always games of Go, that in South Korean is also called Baduk, a famous game, especially in Asia. Millions of games, but all these games are based on a finite set of rules, always the same pieces, always the same board. So this is the meaning of locked strategies. So why I am referring to this problem of locked strategies? Because in my research on abduction, that is the abduction is a topic that I studied practically all my academic life, and I guess that you all know what is abduction. Abduction is the name given by Aristotle and Charles Sanders Peirce to all the kinds of cognitive activities to hypotheses. So not only diagnostic hypotheses, for instance, in the case of the diagnosis, but also creative hypotheses. So one of the pretended results of my research is that abduction work in a good, satisfactory manner when is occurring in a situation of eco-cognitive openness and situatedness. So what is the meaning of this fact? Is that imagine that you are a physician and you have to make an abductive hypothesis about a patient. Of course, your facility, your capacity to produce a good abductive result is not only related to your brain, to your mind, to your body, but also to the information, cognitions, and tools that you have in your environment. If your environment is poor, it is more difficult to make a good abduction. So the same happens in the case of creativity. In the case of creativity, imagine, for example, scientific creativity. When you have to discovering something new, because you are a scientist, for instance, it is important environment in which you live. And eyes, openness, and situatedness are very important. In this book, I presented this problem. Not only, but openness and situatedness are also very important in the case of science. Not only, I strongly believe that in case of scientific cognition, this eco-cognitive situatedness and openness has to be maximized, okay? And I made also in my research some examples of the limitation that the commercialization of science created in the case of biomedical research, because some information, some are rendered secret, and so this is not in tune with the tradition of modern science. Okay, so let's come back. This is the Handbook of Abductive Cognition, 2,000 pages of research about abduction. So let's come back to the problem of locked strategies. Do you remember that I said in the case of AlphaGo, we are dealing with lock strategies. So locking strategies in reality affects creativity, because you can be creative in a game, and indeed AlphaGo was to win against world champions. But is of course a kind of creativity, but a low-level kind of creativity. So this means that current artificial intelligence, not only in the case of AlphaGo, but also in the case of generative artificial intelligence, and also in the case of large language models, we are dealing with a situation of locked strategies. That is the situation that is not coincident with the situation in which human beings live. Human beings lives in an environment in which strategies, their reasoning strategies are unlocked, because they can access everything in their
Lost connect. Morphine.
He's back.
Okay, so are you able to listen to me? Yeah?
Yes, now we listen again.
Sorry for these interruptions. Maybe it is my computer. I don't know. Okay, but I have almost finished. So the problem of big data, we can skip the problem of big data, and we can arrive to the center of my presentation. Okay, so data and types of problems that are basically privileged by current mainstreams AI programs are very restricted. Data preferred are quantity related, big data. Big data are privileged. A fundamental ethical warning has to be clearly stressed. The widespread diffusion of standard and AI-based computational simulation, for example, generative AI, will obviously incline human collectives to more and more adopt habits and things that deal with data and problems appropriate to those same tools. But these could generate an effect of progressive computational configuration of new social behaviors. In few words, we will face eco-cognitive settings which are computational tailored, characterized by the prevalence of locked cognitive strategies, of human tailored, characterized by the unlocked ones. This is a possible negative aspect, a change of habits. For example, the eco-cognitive openness in which human creative cognition dwells could be reduced and jeopardized by the computationalization of the world, so threatening the chance of getting new and important knowledge results, and not only the scientific ones. Something similar could happen in the case of the prevalence of locked, in this case from the ethical point of view, eco-cognitive settings in which the same chance of making human ethical decision will be threatened. So to conclude, we can see that generative AI aims to produce original outputs that mimic or extend human-like creativity. Not only general AI generates outputs by interpolating and extrapolating from training data, often producing content that appears novel but is rooted in learned pattern. This is the most important of this observation. While generative AI can produce diverse outputs, its creativity is shaped by the data it was trained on and the prompts it receives. You all know when you use ChatGPT or Grok or so on, limiting its ability to engage with the external world in real time or adapt to entirely new domains without retraining. This is important. Limiting its ability to engage with the external world in real time or adapt to entirely new domains without retraining. General AI automates content creation but lacks the intentionality or environmental interaction that characterizes human cognition. Its outputs are often evaluated for realism, coherence, or diversity, rather than true novelty or contextual understanding. I repeat, I said limiting its ability to engage with the external world in real time or adapt to entirely new domains without retraining. This means that these tools by themselves are not in a situation of eco-cognitive openness, a good situatedness. Of course, they are in a good situation of eco-cognitive openness and situatedness when they are used by humans. Last consideration, do you know who wrote this last page about the limitation of generative AI? This last slide was written by Grok, okay? So by artificial intelligence. I sent the following question. I said, what do you think about the relationships between generative AI and Lorenzo Magnani's notion of locked strategies? And I received this answer that, so to say, confirmed the fact that we are dealing even in these very exceptional artificial intelligence programs with a managing of locked strategies differently than in the case of human beings. So I finished my presentation. I am very sorry that there were some problems of the cognition, but I hope that you were able to follow my presentation in acceptable way. Anyway, you know my email, so people that are interested in deepening some aspect and so on can write to me, and I am completely available. So, okay. So thank you for your attention and collaboration.
We have 5 minutes for questions and discussions. Does anyone would like to ask me something?
Consider that I am listening your voice very, very, very far. So maybe it is better you can chat to me the questions. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
But we can also have a discussion just of us for 5 minutes if you want. If not, then we will move to our last presentation for today of Martina.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me as an artistic physician to this conference. There were very nice inputs about AI. The piece is not necessarily about AI, but it's also created with AI. I picked the topic experience ecological data because I got an artist in residency last year at the NCS, which is the most established and oldest systems ecology facility in the US. So it's in Santa Barbara in California. And I was invited there as an artist to do an art piece about their research. So there are systems ecologists there, which means there are ecologists and data scientists working together to really see the bigger picture of ecology. So I was invited there and I spent 1 month there. And this was the exhibition in the end. So I did a project and I will show it here the first time also in Austria, in Vienna. Basically, the project is about, so I somehow put my first impressions of the areas. I've never been in Santa Barbara. And did a lot of 3D scanning there. So really tried to capture my impression of the, of course, very human influenced ecology there. And did a lot of scans and found and a lot of interviews with the researchers there. So it's a real art and science piece where I did a lot of interviews with the ecologists, with the data scientists there, and then condensed this all into 6 stories that you can see afterwards in the exhibition, in the installation also, that you can also discover yourself. So these are the 6 stories that I picked. for like my experience and what I experienced there, and also some influences of the interviews that I did with the ecologists. For instance, the very first, which was also inspiration for this talk, is about the biodiversity data. And it's a paper by a really young researcher, Melissa Chapman, and a lot of her colleagues, who looked into the ecological data of the world from the systems ecologist perspective, and saw there are a lot of inequalities also concerning where we get the data from, so mostly from the first world and so on, and what this means for the biases that this also, they work, of course, also a lot with AI nowadays. What does this mean, these data sets, feeding them into the systems and working with them? So it's a really good paper, and I used this data set also in the installation as a centerpiece. So you can see it afterwards revolving like revolving on the earth that I have in the middle. I worked with Blender 3D and did a 3D sculpture with a technique that is called Gaussian splatting. It's a photogrammetry. Technique, which I like from the aesthetics better, because normally in photogrammetry you have this geometry that forms from your scans, from the various photos that you take. So photogrammetry is 3D scanning with many photos and or videos. So videos are basically also photos. So you take a lot of images of one subject, and then algorithms generate a 3D model out of that. And basically what I did for this installation, I combined a lot of these 3D structures into one digital sculpture with this Gaussian splatting method, which I like very much, because it also recently wrote a paper about it, because it looks a lot like the pointillism, like this watercolors, depends on which algorithm you use. So I also compared to the different algorithms. And also I saw a very inspirational talk this year at the IKEA's Computer Congress from an artist who suggested that this kind of Gaussian splatting is also a form of making new memories. So, and that's why I thought the whole project also fits very well to this conference, because we are generating with this, I think more and more people will do these 3D scans just in their holidays and so on. And we are generating a lot of memories, and these memories then might be also fed into or accidentally land in AI systems, and therefore it will change our habits, how we generate memories. And I can also recommend the talk. He talked a lot about how already our perception of memories and of different places changed. So different perspectives is always something that I really like to emphasize also with my artworks in a way. So normally, so I'm at the Science Visualization Lab at the University of Applied Arts, and normally I use scientific imaging to create these different perspectives. So this was more or less a different approach, where I used photogrammetric scans for these different perspectives and the interviews, and tried to incorporate them into these artworks. These I just listed the AI aspects of the art and science installation, since we are at an AI gathering workshop conference here. So I used Mesh AI and Polycam mostly for the Gaussian splatting. So it's not an AI tool, but it has AI features, and it does AI optimization with the 3D models that you generate. So it has the option that you load it into cloud, and then there is AI optimization of your scans of the data that you are uploading. The mesh AI, that is a funny thing, because if you see the image down there, it's based on one photo of myself, so it doesn't look like me, but it is also already like 1 year ago. So I guess this tool got also so much better. But back then it didn't look like at all like me. But I also incorporated into this. I have one mythological story where I talk about the mermaids and seaweed, because I saw one seaweed covered stone on the beach, which I liked a lot, and I saw this face. You know, a lot of creative people have pareidola, and I see sometimes faces in structures, and so I also saw a face in this structure, and I thought I will also put this into my installation as one of the stories about the myths of mermaids and how they might have started. Yeah. I did a little butterfly, because I also have this story about milkweed and how different milkweeds affect the monarch butterfly and the travels. Maybe you have heard about this ecological story. It's a very popular one. It's also in Donna Haraway's text, where she talks about the interspecies relationship with this monarch butterfly, and also how different milkweeds and plants can affect can affect the ecologies of these butterflies. So I also generated with the Mesh AI one butterfly, and I use text to speech. We will hear it afterwards, where I did the essences of these interviews that I did with the scientists, and used them as a AI generated voice over to the installation. There is also a VR chat version. If you have a headset, if you have a virtual reality headset and are in VR chat, you can also experience the installation as a virtual reality installation. I didn't bring it today, but you could experience it yourself. This is just a selfie with the standard VR chat avatar in virtual reality. So there you can also see the installation. It was part of a research project with Via Vis. That's a research facility for extended reality here in Vienna. And we decided to use this installation also as a case example. Yeah, for that I will try to start the installation, that we have the like more casual like finish of the first conference day. You can also see the installation on the Science Visualization Lab website, and this is my personal website also, but I think we are all like in the mailing list because it's a very small workshop. And yeah, feel free to ask any questions about the project. I will try to make it run now, because as I said, the laptop from the place here, sadly, it always gets stuck with the video. So I have to play it from this laptop. It will take some time, but then I set it up. I suggest everybody grabs a drink, because I heard there are drinks, and then the installation will hopefully run. So, yeah.
One, some sweets. We can bring more glasses.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we continue with the recording, or it's fine?
No, it would just move there. So
Okay. This is.
I think we can stop.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, in this case, we will, because now we'll move to watch the installation. So in this case, we would say thank you for this day one, and we will hear each other tomorrow